scheduled for one fall. On the way to the ring, NWO Scott Tiger and NWO. Their opponents, Raven, Satin, and The Fallen.
So here we have a grudge match between NWO and The Flock, two stables that have fought against each other and against other stables many times in the past. Here we have, representing The Flock, the leader Raven's Flock as it were, and Saturn, Perry Saturn. And against them we have Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. Now, they are representing NWO. Scott Steiner has been a great tag team competitor all throughout his life, fighting with his brother as the Steiner brothers. However, he's now teamed with another NWO member, Buff Bagwell. Now, some say that Steiner carries Buff Bagwell. Buff Bagwell is a bit weaker in the terms of fighting potential. The announcer even just calls him NWO instead of by his name. Here we got a big kick by Buff Bagwell coming to the ring. First tag of the match. The winner of these two will go on to face Full Horsemen, who stole their match against the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. You have to wonder that Kevin Nash and Scott Hall really wanted to fight in the tag team tournament as a veteran tag team. In fact, they are the most veteran tag team. Our shot is being blocked by a sign. I apologize for that. Someone really wanting to represent the USA here. It's alright. We are not on USA Network. A big release suplex by Saturn, showing his strength. Both these men, very muscular, very strong. Raven has not been in the ring yet. Raven has often had the way of fighting tag teams as of just hiding in the corner himself and having his teammate doing most of the work, as he is a bit too far above actually being in the ring sometimes. However, he may fight against both of these competitors as it is for the Tag Team Championship in the tournament. You have to wonder, Raven would love to take away the title from WCW and hold it in part of Raven's flock. Steiner going for a big submission move here. Raven able to break it up before Saturn gets hurt too bad. Saturn countering and looking for a submission move of his own here. Trying to wrench the leg of Scott Steiner, but he isn't having any of that. Kicks him straight in the face. Saturn tossing Steiner into his corner. Raven and Saturn looking for a tag team maneuver here. Gets launched into the turnbuckle. That unforgiving turnbuckle has padding, but it's still got steel right behind the padding. Raven with the arm drag, tossing further into his team's corner, trying to keep Steiner far away from Buff Bagwell. He may be the stronger of the two, but still fighting 2-on-1 is better than fighting 2-on-2. Steiner able to make a big counter to Raven's Irish Whip combination. No counter this time by Steiner as he got tossed into another submission maneuver, holding onto the throat and the chin of Steiner. Steiner powering his way out, slamming Raven onto the mat. You gotta wonder if Steiner's going to look for a tag soon. Tossing Raven into the corner, looks like he might be doing, but Steiner runs around to the other corner of the ring for some reason, perhaps showing off his strength as he often would. Steiner has been one to do push-ups in the middle of the ring, taunting his opponent. In fact, sometimes doing push-ups on top of his opponent as he pins them. Raven a bit less social, I guess you could say. A bit more reserved would be another word. Doesn't talk much, doesn't show much emotion, but is a great wrestler. And would be a fine tag team champion, or world heavyweight champion. Both of these groups qualified for the Royal Rumble later tonight. The Flock's third member, Kidman, unfortunately will not be in the Rumble for the heavyweight championship, as he was flat out knocked out by Tupac in the match right before this one. Tupac representing NWO. So Raven and Saturn might be looking for revenge against the NWO here, trying to make up for Kidman not being able to be in the Royal Rumble later tonight. But Bagwell able to put on some aggression against Raven here, trying to show up my comment of him being the lesser member of his team. Now with Raven's Flock, you always know that Raven's going to be part of the tag team. However, Raven's Flock has used rules to change their tag team around, having him team up with Kidman on occasion and other members of the Flock. A big, interesting maneuver by Buff Bagwell as he shows off to the crowd, taunts Raven, waiting for him to get up. Big DDT by Buff Bagwell has Scott Steiner spears Saturn into the announce table. Referee not even able to get a 1 count before Raven kicks out. That DDT looked devastating, but Raven didn't really get hurt all that much. This match is a little bit out of Raven's comfort zone, perhaps. This is not a Raven's rules match. There is disqualifications. He is not allowed to use weapons in the ring. Cannot use his personal finisher of the toe hold into a chair that he would use on many occasions to bust open and generally destroy his opponents. Saturn trying to damage the armor by Bagwell, who perhaps trying to soften him up for the Rings of Saturn, a submission maneuver Saturn uses to finish most matches. A Louis press from Buff Bagwell, a move somewhat made popular by Stone Cold Steve Austin in recent years. Trying to damage the arm of Saturn, perhaps weaken his Rings of Saturn, as it requires a lot of strength to do such a maneuver. Saturn using his athletics to break that hold, something you don't see every day from the larger man Saturn. He is smaller than Raven, he is smaller than Scott Steiner, but Saturn is still a pretty big man in his own right. And throwing Buff Bagwell into the corner for a tag team maneuver here. They're going to fling him into the corner, I believe. Once again, using that corner to their advantage as much as they can. Raven pulling Buff Bagwell to the middle of the ring. You got to wonder if he's going to go for a pin here. So only a 1 count. Scott Steiner not even trying to get into the ring, knowing that Buff is going to make it. Big DDT. Huge DDT by Buff Bagwell. Saturn coming into the ring to try and interrupt Scott Steiner. Only 1 count by Buff Bagwell. He's able to sustain himself against that DDT, just like Raven did to his own DDT earlier. Saturn calling for a tag. And Buff Bagwell perhaps looking for a tag himself, but getting grabbed by Raven. But Buff Bagwell able to counter it into another Louis press, pounding on the head of Raven, softening up for another DDT, or perhaps for a submission maneuver by, oh my god, Buff Bagwell just getting speared off the side rope by Raven. Scott Steiner able to do a release suplex from that Irish whip combination. Raven looking for a big move off the top rope here. Some sort of suplex it looks like. Yes, it's a superplex coming in from Raven. It's got to hurt both competitors there, but Scott Steiner is going to take a lot more damage from that than Raven. Once again, it looks like Saturn's itching to make a tag, itching to try and get into the ring and put the beating on Scott Steiner here. But it's Raven rules. He makes a tag when he wants to make a tag. And it looks like he wants to make a tag now. Yes, another tag team maneuver. Big suplex into a grab. Tag team maneuver to do another big suplex maneuver. Saturn going out to the ring, tearing off the top of this table here. Gotta wonder if they're gonna try and do their own little Raven's rules, tossing him into the table. Raven taking it into his own hands, putting the elbow onto Scott Steiner's head, even though he's not the legal man. 5 count, halfway through the count, and Saturn made his way back into the ring. Saturn flipping himself back over. Scott Steiner exited the ring of his own accord this time, unprovoked, into the enemy side of the ring. Scott Steiner just begging Saturn to come back in, but walking back out. This is not the side of the ring you want to be out on if you're Scott Steiner. Here's where they can double team you like they are right now, tossing you in and out of the ring. Seems like Saturn is holding his gut a little. Yes, it is. He seems to be injured, at least somewhat. But Raven and Perry Saturn continued to double team on Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner looked for a spear there, but Raven able to counter, tossing him over the top rope. He spilled out onto the ground there. Raven is taking this into his own hands, even though Saturn is the legal man. Scott Steiner has had enough of this. Looks like he's going for the tag from Buff Bagwell. And Saturn tagging Raven back in. Big DDT, and he's busted Buff Bagwell open. Saturn looking very excited for that. Buff Bagwell, first person to be broken open in this tag team match. On ECW last night, we saw a lot of people get broken open in the tag team tournament, especially in the match with Sabu and RVD versus Tommy Dreamer and Sandman, where all 4 competitors were knocked out, and a big chair move by Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. Perhaps some shades of the Frankensteiner. It looks like he's going to go for a camel clutch here. Saturn countering, but Raven's feet were on the ropes. There was a misplay there by Scott Steiner. He should have known to pull him into the middle of the ring. Scott Steiner pulling onto the top rope, perhaps looking for a superplex of his own on Raven. Yes, second superplex that we've seen. We've seen a lot of high moves from the top rope, and Raven able to kick out with just a 1 count here. A big show-off elbow here from Steiner as Raven hobbles around the ring. All these competitors are getting very tired. You have to wonder how they're going to do in the Royal Rumble later tonight. Many of these competitors have been decent champions in the past, either through heavyweight titles, TV titles, or as any other titles. Looks like Steiner might be going for a pin here. 1. Only a 1 count once again. Not a big move from Steiner. Just dragged him into the middle of the ring. He's got to look for another big move, perhaps Buff Bagwell's DDT again, to try and push him over the limit, to knock his opponent out. And a reverse DDT, almost, by Raven, dragging Steiner into the middle of the ring. You can see these competitors want this match to end, but no one wants to give up. No one wants to knock themselves out of the tournament. Saturn walking to the ring a bit. Raven taunting a little bit. Saturn perhaps calling for a tag here. Scott Steiner into a hip toss, tossing Raven onto the ground. Tagging Buff Bagwell in. Another Louis press. He's been favoring that move tonight, using it a lot. Big suplex by Saturn. Drag him into the middle of the ring. Once again going for a quick pin here. Only 1 count. These competitors, they need to do some big moves if they're going to go for pins like that. Just a normal suplex won't do it in this tournament situation. They've got to go with their finishers. They have to go with big team moves. Things like that. And a big move by Buff Bagwell. He's grooving into a big leg drop here. Buff Bagwell looking dazed. He's holding his head a bit. Almost getting tossed out of the ring and getting kicked on to the bottom. Once again in that position where his team does not want to be. Where Raven and Saturn can double team them. Both legal men fighting at it right now. Buff Bagwell getting thrown into the guardrail. You have to wonder if they're going to try and return the favor that they did against Kidman earlier tonight, where X-Pac tossed him into the guardrail and knocked him out. Buff Bagwell looking at a 7 count on the ground. But Saturn tossed himself back outside, restarting the count at a 1 count. Now Saturn in the opposite side, where Steiner could double team against him if he so chose. But limping away, Saturn trying to get himself back in the ring. Steiner bumping into his tag team partner as Buff Bagwell is just bleeding all over this arena. He's been busted out for quite some time now. Reverse neck breaker. Perhaps looking for another pin. Buff Bagwell here. 1, 2. Not even a 2 count once again. I don't believe we've seen a 2 count yet. Buff Bagwell almost tossing Raven into the referee. Big tag team maneuver. Looking for that chair maneuver that we saw earlier, it seems. Yes. Once again. Raven has fallen from the top rope several times so far. Gotta wonder how much more his body can take, although he is a hardcore superstar in his own right. Steiner has the camel clutch on him. Bagwell not able to stop Saturn before he breaks it up. A big DDT by Raven onto Buff Bagwell. Their teammates fighting along in the middle of the ring as well. Perhaps Raven looking for a pin here. No, not quite. Steiner with a double arm suplex into a pin, but Raven a bit too close to the ropes. Scott Steiner, the legal man here. Now that things have been sorted out by the referee. Saturn back into the ring. Countering that punch into a great release suplex. Perhaps trying to bring him into the ring for another pin. No. It's not going to happen. Scott Steiner's too tough. He's unwilling to compromise. Unwilling to give up. He wants to represent NWO as well as Tupac did earlier tonight. He doesn't want to be shown up by his partner who flat out knocked out Kidman by tossing him through the barricade. 1. Only 1 count. Saturn and Raven going for quick pins repeatedly. Gotta wonder if that's letting Steiner rest up a little bit, gain some momentum back. As Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner go for another tag team maneuver. Big boot by Bagwell. And looking for the pin off that tag maneuver, but not able to get a 1 count as ref was yelling at Steiner to get out of the ring. And we have a double tag going on with Steiner and Raven coming in. Both men very tired. Both men holding their stomachs. A big release suplex by Steiner. Steiner has tried twice now to put the camel clutch on Raven, but both times have been spoiled. 2 big suplexes and only a 1 count from Raven. Raven kicking out after only 1. Steiner tagging with Buff Bagwell again. Looking for a tag maneuver. Looks like atomic drop to another big boot. Buff Bagwell posing for the crowd as he waits for Raven to get up, bleeding heavily on the mat. Buff Bagwell has lost so much blood. You can see the blood dripping down Buff Bagwell's face. He's just getting absolutely covered in his own blood. And he's dripping it all over the ring as well. He's still fighting hard to make the NWO proud. To show my statement up that he's not the weak link of this team. He's a great fighter in his own right. And you can definitely believe it with how hard he's fought here. One. Only 1 count. Raven running away, perhaps looking to make a tag to Saturn. Yes, and Buff Bagwell seeing that, runs to make a tag to Scott Steiner. The two tie up and fight for position as Scott Steiner wins out into a big release suplex. Scott Steiner's done so many suplexes here tonight. Giant suplex. Scott Steiner in the middle of the ring. Only 1 count once again. We've had so many pinfall attempts in this match, but none really going past the 1 count so far. Saturn tossing Steiner into his team's corner. Steiner able to push out, but gets dropped to the ground once again with a toe hold. Now Saturn throwing Steiner into his team's corner. Going to flip Steiner into the corner once again. And a big DDT by Raven. I believe it was actually a running DDT. One. Oh my god. This match. This match has been going on for over 20 minutes now. These competitors have got to be very tired. Buff Bagwell walking off. Scott Steiner was looking to make a tag there, but Buff Bagwell just walking off their apron. Perhaps telling Steiner, you know, I'm bleeding a lot here. I'm not able to help you all that much right now. Give me a few minutes. That wound has got to be opening and closing, and opening even more throughout this long match. It would be a shame if this match ended like the other match ended, with a small package quickly ending the match. Only a 1 count. Small package ties up a person a whole lot, and especially in an unexpected situation, it's hard to fight. And a big boot by Buff Bagwell. Buff Bagwell taunting, looking to perhaps end this match with a big maneuver here, as Steiner spears Raven out of the ring and poses for the crowd as they get their 3 count. And it will go on in the tag team tournament here tonight to face the 4 Horsemen at the Night of Champions.